Hello everyone, this is Steven from Âtrium Lab. Welcome to this week's Âtrium X Space. So this week we're joined by Fluxpoint Studios. For those who don't know Fluxpoint, they're the creator of Talos. So Talos, the AI agent that is starting to become well known on X and on their Discord. So yeah, excited to hear what they have to say. We'll be discussing our partnership as well. And yeah, make sure to tweet out the space as well, so we get a good crowd. And we already have Peyton up here. Hey, Peyton. And Decimalist is also already here. Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hello, hello. I'm doing good today. How are you doing, Steven?
Very well. Sunny here. It's been a while.
Got some of that spring sun coming in.
Yeah.
I love that,
Hey,
man. There's nothing like seeing the first bit of sun after a cold winter. You just have a smile on your face all day, like hell yes.
yeah, definitely. That first sun always hits the best. Hey, Decimalist, how you doing?
Good. Just got home from dropping my daughter off at first grade, and then now I'm just getting in the house here, getting ready for this space.
Excellent. So yeah, now go ahead, Peyton. Sorry.
I was just gonna say it's definitely an exciting week for Cardano. What we normally do, Decimalist, at least the past few weeks, is we've been doing a little bit of news, and then get into the people that we're with here. And today we have you. We're excited to learn more about Talos. And the biggest thing that I wanted to get into today is some of the blockchain work that you've been doing and integrating with Talos. Talos being a DREP, and we kind of discussed kind of Talos interacting with certain DAOs one day and stuff. So I want to get where your head's at there. But to get started, the biggest news that's happened, honestly, this year is the U.S. Strategic Reserve. It's an interesting time for crypto. I personally expected that Bitcoin would be added into a strategic reserve. I thought that's what the Bitcoin community was expecting as well. And honestly, the opposite happened. The first tweet that came out was, ADA, XRP, and Solana, which is not Bitcoin and Ethereum. Those are the first two that you would expect. So it was definitely a bit of a curveball for all of us here. But I personally think it's a good thing. I'll let others speak on this as well, and I appreciate hearing other people's opinions. But my biggest worry was the direction that crypto was heading. We have all of these kind of pump and dumps happening on Solana with meme coins, and I think Bitcoin holds true to cryptocurrency's original ethos, and I think Cardano holds true to cryptocurrency's original ethos. And my worry was that we were going to head towards a centralized finance, essentially, kind of like this Fugazi decentralization of blockchain's better. I swear it's decentralized. And seeing a diversification in this basket of coins, it made me excited for the future. It's there's a fighting chance. So if we build awesome products that push the world forward and our industry forward, crypto's original ideologies, I think has a real good shot now. Decimalist, I saw you unmute your mic there.
I think I was still muted. I don't know. This app is wild.
No worries. I usually, if I see that, I'm like, oh, he's got his hand up or something. But yeah, exciting times. Of course, this still has to pass the Senate, right? There could be some back and forth there. Nothing is certain in this world, of course. But I'm excited to see a president, no matter what president it is, mention Cardano in ADA in a tweet, and mention that it's important enough that governments need to buy it and hold on to it. Times are changing. we went from a place where, you know, the SEC was going after Coinbase and Kraken and Binance and, you know, all of the legitimate companies in our industry while doing backdoor deals with, you know, Sam Bankman-Fried. So I'm happy. You know, it's not going to be perfect, but so far the changes have been good, and I think it's you know, exciting time.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't on my bingo card for 2025, but yeah, it's a bit of a surprise. Also to Charles, apparently. So yeah, which is always nice to get the recognition. Doesn't matter where it's from, I guess. It's always nice to be recognized and included and valued for what we have been building, you know. So yeah, always good to get some appreciation as well. Are you still here, Decimist?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Sorry, you're dropping on and off a little bit. So I'm curious to see if Charles is also represented this weekend at the White House. Curious just to hear if any more news comes out of that. Yeah, maybe we'll get some more details.
Yeah, it's starting to kind of remind me of the 2021 cycle. You know, it's not necessarily my favorite thing in the world. Um, you know, I think back in 2021, we used to all sit there and wait for what Elon Musk tweeted every week. You know, every day we're like, oh, what's Elon got? You know, is he going to pump our bags today? It's, you know, it honestly stresses me the hell out. I don't like these times where one person kind of changes the market, but it seems like we're entering another one of those times. And the next little time to look out for is this Friday. You know, they're doing some cryptocurrency stuff at the White House, so we'll see how that goes. You know, and interesting times. We did actually release a new feature in Âtrium this week. If you guys want to test it out, it's the final smart contract. You know, we're going to ship 3 smart contracts within a couple of months when we go to mainnet, and the third and final one was just added in this week. And you know, it has to do with our new idea that we're going to be launching soon called Proof of Influence. But take a look at it. If you go to the you can actually take Atma tokens that you're staking to Diffusion and start staking them to profiles. It is a new feature. We are on testnet, so if you guys run into any issues, we'd appreciate if you reported them to us in the Discord, and we'll get those fixed ASAP. But yeah, so let's get into Talos, Decimalist. If nobody's ever heard of Talos before, this is the first time that they're hearing the name. How would you describe Talos to someone on the street?
Talos is an advanced agent, advanced agentic solution. I would describe it. He interacts with people through social media. He has sub processes that interact with the Cardano blockchain and perform various actions, and they're tied to all of him. He's like a network of agents, basically, that are all working towards a certain goal or goals.
What are Talos's goals?
So we're at Fluxpoint Studios. We're very interested in basically just like pushing the limits of this technology. We're interested in breaking down um like the boundaries that have kind of kept us confined in the past, and the like marry up really well with agentic types of solutions. So for example, like something that I've become very interested in recently is, you know, portfolio management for people on Cardano, so that they can kind of set up like a balancer account, you know, like just have a portfolio that they set and forget. And uh in order to do that without like um you know, incurring a lot of fees on Cardano, because you know, maybe unpopular opinion, but Cardano has really high fees per capita. I mean, we like to
talk crap about Ethereum, but I mean, per the user base, like Cardano fees are actually really expensive when you do swaps and stuff. So if we can somehow use agentic solutions to identify arbitrage opportunities and perform atomic swaps that are extremely low in fees. And all of this, aggregating all this data just as a human being and performing all this coding could require an exorbitant amount of time, right? But for an agent like Talos, it could be milliseconds.
Okay. So, I think some people here have probably seen Talos actually has a Twitter account, and he's dunking on Solana bros, spreading Cardano education, and I've been seeing him around everywhere, honestly, for the past month, and I've personally had some good conversations with him. He's evoked emotion out of me before. To be honest with you, when I first started seeing these AIs pop up, I thought it was kind of the dumbest idea I've ever heard. It made me start thinking of like the metaverse. It made me start thinking of like 2021. We're all going to build a metaverse and live inside of it. And Talos changed my mind. Talos made me think, okay, there's something here. There's something interesting. And this was before I saw some of the on-chain capabilities that Talos has. So could you kind of get into that? I saw Talos is a D rep. We'll start with that. What are your thoughts behind, Talos being a D rep, and when was that added?
Yeah. So and I actually love that you brought up this point, because there's been some outspoken people like about Taos being a D rep, and that they're against the idea, and I'm like, hey, like that's your opinion, that's cool. Like I'm not gonna get all worked up over it. I think you're wrong. I think that Talos is a perfectly good D rep. In fact, better than most human beings, and the reason for that is because when you have like a set personality profile that you create for like an AI agent, right? Like, so you have and this I think also goes back to some people's limited knowledge of what AI today really is versus like a year ago or 2 years ago. Is like they legit think that you're just hooking up Chat GPT to like programmatic entry of choices, right? And that's not the case. So you start with like a kernel intelligence, which is like an LLM, right? And there's lots of providers out there for that type of thing. But then there's like this whole stack that you put on top of it that includes like personality profiles. Oh, if it maybe you have consensus of LLMs behind a personality profile. So now it's just not even a single LLM driving the thing, but it's actually a consensus of multiple LLMs that are powering the decisions behind this, right? And all of these different layers is very complex, but at the same time they can't really be emotionally compromised and go against their set. Sure, they can hallucinate, but that's why, my experience in working with building AI agents for Fortune 500 companies around the world for customer service over the past 2 years comes in handy because I know, hey, for this type of thing, if you don't want it to hallucinate in that way, then you need to build a certain output sanitizer, right? If you don't want it to hallucinate in this way, you need to make sure you build this kind of input sanitizer, right? And you leave certain things up to the LLM, the core intelligence, but then you also have your coding chops that you use to make sure that certain things can never happen, right? Like Talos can never give you his seed phrase. It's not in his power to give you his seed phrase over social media, right? So things like that. And so the reason why agents become better D-reps than humans, in my opinion, is that they can't go against this instruction set that they're given, right? If in the very off chance that they hallucinate and maybe say something that was incorrect or whatever, then that can be tweaked and ironed out and stuff. But a human being emotionally compromised can't be fixed the same way, right? And there could be things like people getting paid under the table, doing basically any argument that you can make against an agent, taking all the data, aggregating it, making an informed decision, and honoring the will of his constituents. any argument that you can make that an agent doesn't do that well, you can actually make that same argument twofold for a human being. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, you raise a really interesting point there. First and foremost, if someone is disagreeing with the idea of Talos being a DREP, I think it's very fair for them to put that opinion out there because if someone is delegating to Talos, they can just delegate elsewhere. So it's not like the stake is stuck there ultimately forever, and all of Talos's decisions are going to be on chain. I'm sure you could probably just ping him and ask him as well. Hey Talos, what'd you vote on in the past? And he's going to give you the info right there. So if you don't like that, you can just go delegate somewhere else, as you could with any DREP operator. And you're right about humans. We humans aren't perfect, and this is kind of why we've built blockchain in the first place. There's these the code is law type folks around here that believe ultimately if that's what the code says, that's how it should be, and that could be better than humans being propagandized by people at the top with money to get them to be emotional and react in certain ways. And you could probably do that with AI too, but as this space moves forward, the AI is going to get better and hopefully closer to code is law. How far do you think we are away from that, where an AI, can actually follow that? Like code is law, they can't hallucinate, that they have these set fundamental values that can't be changed.
Yeah, no, that's not too far away. Like, so it's impossible with LLMs, large language models, because they're fundamentally built on the premise that they're kind of like prediction machines, like where they just predict like the next few characters or words or sentences, right? Like that's what they're doing based on their human training data. So that will never happen with LLMs. However, what a lot of people don't realize, and they're not educated enough in this space to understand, is that today AI is not where it was like a year or two ago. We have like large concept models now. We have other types of agent or generative AI models that are more deterministic, right? That are not just predictors. They can understand, like, hey, Joe's unhappy at his job. Joe doesn't have a gym membership. Joe doesn't have a girlfriend. What should Joe do? Just out of those three things. And then the concept model can take all those concepts and say, hey, you know what? If Joe got a gym membership and got in shape, then he could probably get a girlfriend and he could probably do his job better and enjoy life a lot more. Right? Like that's not like in the realm of possibility for like an LLM to come up with that thought on their own. Like they don't think, but these new reasoning models and these new concept models do that. They have a train of thought and everything. So what you're talking about with like determinism and having a completely deterministic AI agent, I mean, that's really not far in the future.
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, I was just wondering, these, let's say, advanced models compared to like 2 years ago that can, let's say, call it reason, are those still in the hands of like the big tech companies, or is it also dripping down to open source projects and smaller projects?
It's starting to. So I think DeepSeek R1 was like the big disruptor, right? Because that was basically that was the first open source reasoning model, right? That you could as a user get your hands on and be able to utilize that. And when I say get your hands on, be able to utilize it, it's kind of funny because like if you want to drive the 671 billion parameter model, you need like 16 to 20 A100 NVIDIA graphics cards that cost about $24,000 a piece to even run the non quantized model of that. So yeah, it's like open source. Like you can use an API key if it's on some remote server somewhere, and you're paying someone for an API key, but then you're not actually like owning the model. So lightweight models aren't there yet, right? You need really heavy models. So it's kind of in this weird position where everyone really needs to be rallying behind DPIN right now, like big time. You need to be rallying behind like the Dediums, the Iagons, the Nuvolas, like everyone that's providing decentralized compute and storage, because really soon it's going to be the case where you don't have to have the intelligence kernel for an LLM, like that 671 billion parameter DeepSeek model. You don't have to have it on a single server anymore with all those A100s attached to it. Very soon, in fact, even at the top, they're already doing this where you can split that intelligence kernel across multiple servers, right? So then you can actually have a democratized and decentralized intelligence kernel of the model, which would be absolutely insane, because that means all these node operators that are getting generating rewards and stuff and getting paid are all running the actual brain of like whatever the that big model is.
To me, it seems like the perfect emergence when in terms of technology that these DPIN providers need, right? Like, you know, because a lot of people don't really use that much resources unless you're playing video games or doing video editing, like really high intensive stuff where a lot of people are just sitting on Twitter or they're in a Twitter space. And I think that there's this front end kind of user experience aspect that is more valuable to most people than the decentralized aspect. But with the emergence of I can see where the decentralized aspect becomes a lot more valuable to certain people. So I wanted to focus a little bit more on the on-chain stuff that Talos can currently do. So we know that he's a D rep right now. I've also heard that he has assets, in a wallet. Is that true?
So yeah, that was actually one of the first things we did. So like in in January, I launched Talos on January 9th, and then I believe I set him up with his own private key and wallet that he can manage like the following week. Like that's how fast it was. And the reason I wanted to do that was because there there is a lot of AI agents, right? I'm sure everyone has seen them. There's an overwhelming amount of AI agents. And AI agents are great for marketing and stuff like that on social media. But now I almost feel like that's table stakes, right? So when you say like, "Oh, I have an AI agent," it's like, "Cool. What else can it do?" Right? Like the foundation is that it's able to chat and interact with people. That's the most basic premise of it, right? But what can it actually do? Where's the utility of? Yeah, and that's what people need to start looking at and really asking the questions, and not just aping into coins and stuff because there's a new agent around. So why we did that with Talos, and we open sourced that repository right afterwards too. So it's not like we're gatekeeping this stuff. We want to like everyone to go out and do this stuff. Um, so we open sourced that right after. Showed everybody like, hey, this is how you would go and plug in an LLM, provide the personality profile, and set it up with a wallet to be able to trade and manage a portfolio through the open source tools that Indigo Protocol actually wrote for us. Dexter and by us I mean the entire Cardano community. Dexter and Iris, amazing, amazing tools, and yeah, they're open source. And so basically, you just put all that together and have your own AI agent, just like Talos, managing a portfolio, right? We've done a lot on top of that since we released that over 2 months ago now. But but yeah, that's how everyone can get started, and he's a stake pool operator as well. He's got a certain conviction about certain assets. That's not a huge like surprise or anything like that, right? Talos is basically built in my image. He's just a better version of me because he knows like when to shut up, and he knows like when to stand up.
That's like one of the hardest things to figure out, I think, when to shut up and when to stand up. For anybody just tuning in, I appreciate you guys all being here. If you're enjoying the space so far, we do these every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have great guests on every week. So if you're looking for more Cardano content on Twitter or on X, this is where you got to go. If you guys are enjoying it, make sure you leave a comment by clicking that little purple button in the bottom right-hand corner. We're also going to give everyone here the opportunity to come up and ask questions later. So make sure you guys stay tuned. We're going to be opening that up in a bit. Make sure you guys share it out as well. So, Talos is managing, a basket of these assets, right? He's also a stake pool operator. What's he doing next?
So, and this is funny because, like, I feel like there's this meta where people expect a roadmap in the Web3 community, right? And it's like from I worked in business for a while, right? I'll just say that I've been in business for a while, and and I feel like that meta exists when people have like taken some type of investment from you and are trying to, give you a sense of reassurance, right? Like they've taken your investment and so now they want to reassure you that they're going to do X, Y, and Z. For this reason, and the reason that we have commercialized products and services. We have Cardevia AI, we have Epic Game Store games like Tribe, and things like that out there. And so we don't need to prove ourselves that we are going to deliver on certain things. We're just going to tell you it's going to happen, and you can just look at our track record and know that it is going to happen. I self-funded this company with hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own money, and so I have a really strong conviction to continue to break barriers and do new things. That's the long-winded answer. The short thing, I guess the short like little alpha I will drop. The very next thing we're looking at with Talos is to disrupt the NFT and token marketplace because it's ripe for disruption with advanced agentic integration.
Awesome. Yeah, and I don't, at least I don't think so. I don't think I hold any Talos, so I wasn't asking when you're going to pump my bags. You just kind of get me excited with a lot of this stuff. You're kind of pushing Cardano forward on the AI agentic front, and I'm like, what is this guy cooking up next? It's definitely exciting for me to hear. My next question for you is about the Talos token. Does Talos have a DAO? How does like the Talos token, fit into the bundle of assets that he has, the stake pool? Where does the token fit in?
Yeah, so Talos actually does have a DAO. That and the first and foremost, like, people need to realize like governance is the utility. I think that that DAOs and even just the term DAO has been beaten to death and misused and misappropriated. But once a little more time has gone on, people are going to realize like, oh shit, they were right. Like, it's governance. It always was about governance because that's the only time you actually own anything. You've paid and you actually own something, right? Because everything else can go away. That's just the reality of it. So yeah, we do have we're actually in the middle of migrating any of the remaining Talos tokens that the Fluxpoint Studios shards treasury owns to a new Talos treasury, but I'm looking at the numbers right now on Clarity DAO, and right now the new Talos Fluxpoint Studios treasury that we just set up has about $135,000 worth of Talos in it, and then the Fluxpoint Studios is almost about $900,000 total, and I think like yeah, $400,000 of that is going to be transferred to that new treasury that currently sits in the Shards treasury. So we actually have two DAOs, and they'll both be sitting right around 500,000 USD each, with one with shards tokens and the other with Talos tokens.
So one of the go ahead, Stephen. Sorry.
No, I was just wondering, going back to like Talos, the agent himself. I was wondering, how much do you need to, poke him in the right direction? He's been live now for 2 months or something, I think you said, 2 or 3 months.
Yep.
So how often do you still need to correct and poke him in the right direction, or say, no, this is not correct, or you shouldn't do that? I saw a conversation with Patrick, I think about last week or something, about, I think it was the technology he was based on, and I saw you poke him a little bit to correct. So how much do you still need to do that?
Yeah, no, so this is a great and this brings up a great discussion just about like AI long-term memory. So first I'll just say it's not super often. I think that was the last time I really had to do that. And I might miss sometimes, like to kind of like course correct him and say something. But he pretty much like sticks to what I've told him and what I've coded him for. He does get things that wrong sometimes, but then I always say cheekily that, I mean, humans do that shit all the time. But
I did it this morning.
so we yeah, so we are coming out with a really impressive new implementation, and I just hired a very, very talented dev. His name is Roll. I'm sorry, someone just called. Can you still hear me?
Yep, we can hear you now. We
Okay.
lost you for like 1 sec.
Yeah, I hate when that happens. So I just hired a very, very impressive dev who has some LLM call center experience, much like I did. His name is Roland, and he's actually in the audience right now. Shout out, Roland. He's helping me actually work on Talos, so it's not just me anymore, right? Which is fantastic. And he's already done really cool stuff like Coin Market Cap API integration, Tap Tools API integration. And then next, what we're looking at is a really ambitious effort to make Talos' long-term memory unbeatable. And how we do that is by implementing this thing called a knowledge graph. That essentially, like how LLMs currently use long-term memory is they basically take what's being said, they break it down into numbers and use this process called embedding, and embed things in a database file so then they can easily like retrieve it, right? Make calls to it and retrieve it from the database. How we completely change that, and that can like be wrong sometimes, right? It doesn't happen, it doesn't get the full context, it misses the chunk, like different things can happen there, right? And you have points of failure, and it doesn't always know to reference it. But with knowledge graphs, what's insane is like it can actually have pay as a person they have interacted with in their life. And they go, oh, you know what? Pay is with the Âtrium team. He is a stake pool operator. He likes, I don't know, Pay corn dogs instead of hot dogs. Just making shit up, right? And like, but all of these things, like he learns from his interactions, and that goes right under the Pay column, right? So he knows anytime he interacts with Pay, no matter where he is, Discord, X, on a website, what have you, he knows Pay's likes and dislikes and will be able to recall specific conversations and events because it kind of spiderwebs out from that entity that he's created that is the unique user Pay. And this is a lot like how human memory works, right? We tie things to people, and then you can also associate, oh, you know who else likes corn dogs besides Pay? L likes corn dogs. And then he's like, oh, you two like something in common. Like he's able to make those connections, right? And it's just, it'll be absolutely insane once the implementation is done because it'll be very, very difficult to ever trip him up or to like feel, you will actually get the sense that you're talking to a human being. Like there'll be very few times where you ever realize that it's an AI.
So my next question is, kind of relative to DAOs, right? Thinking about the way DAOs are structured right now, I agree with you about your kind of prediction for the future that DAOs are going to be more important, and we are sick of the DAO word, and people are kind of over it because of, frankly, all of the DAO scams that there have been over the past 4 years. And one thing that we see now with DAOs, even Cardano, you have the Constitutional Committee, that's going to be, deciding whether something is constitutional or not. You have to have these real life people that are maintaining the DAO. For example, if a DAO is buying property in the US, the DAO is going to have to elect somebody for a multi-year period to maybe have the property rights or the business rights or the trust rights in their name to facilitate that in the real world. I guess housing's not the best example because Talos isn't going to be on a trust document. But, kind of my point with this is, do you see a future where AI is playing the role, essentially the people role connected to the DAO instead of these constitutional committees or these elected people? Do you see an AI doing that because you can have the code actually be more deterministic than people?
Yeah, so you know what's crazy is in the state of, I believe in Wyoming also, but in the state of Delaware, it's actually possible to create an LLC with a smart contract as the executor, or as the empowered individual who spins up the LLC. So there's already legislation that can name a smart contract as like an entity that can spin up a company, right? And so already, like, I mean, the dots are there, just connect them. Like, why would you not have an AI agent running a company as the director? Like the creator, the executor, the director of a company. Um, so that's the first part. Number two is we are actually in heavy talks with Clarity about this type of thing, because we really need to put the A back in DAO. We really need to put the autonomy back in DAO, because it is not very autonomous right now. And it's very all the pieces are there, is what I like to say. Like, it's not like I'm a genius person. I'm rarely the smartest person in the room. I think the advantage I have sometimes is just like I'm relentless as fuck, and I just won't stop until I figure it out or go crazy trying. But the pieces are all there for anyone to pick this up and like put them together. But you can have an agent that is the steward of a DAO that basically executes and carries out the wishes of the DAO, and then you can put their entire code base, right? Like you can put, even if you're just using GitHub, which I guess the argument there could be like, oh well, there's centralization with GitHub, right? But there's going to be some type of method where you can decentralize basically even a source control um, system that has the entire code base of an agent on there, right? And it's publicly viewable. And the only way changes can be made to that code base is through a token, through a specific token or credentials that nobody has except for a sub process of the agent. And so when they say, hey, you know what, let's evolve this agent and we need to implement this feature, or he didn't, quite do what we wanted him to there, and he didn't really carry out the wishes of the DAO that we wanted to there. So let's update his code base. And then the code is written, it's submitted as a proposal, everybody reviews the proposal. Okay, cool. Voted through, yes, no. Once it's voted through, boom, an Agora spin transaction happens, and then the code base gets merged, right? Using that token or credentials that's created. So that literally all it needs to be is like the framework just needs to be created. It's not this impossible thing. It's just some work, some legwork that needs to be done, but it's all there and it's going to happen very soon.
Okay. That's it's interesting, man. It kind of speaks to where I think our entire world is going ultimately. I think that there is a bit of magic, to AI, when it comes to normal people that aren't, working with AI, just use an LLM a couple of times, but I definitely see a world where, that determinism leads to less human error, in the same way that, people say about self-driving, eventually. It's not there yet, but eventually it definitely could be. So for anybody just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. We do these every Wednesday at 11 a.m. EST. We're going to have another great guest on next week, so I hope to see you there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to start requesting speaker and coming on up. We want to kind of turn this more into a community discussion. We also have a new feature in the Âtrium testnet right now. If you guys haven't used Âtrium, it's a great time to. We're currently on Cardano's preview network right now. You just create a preview wallet, you get some test ADA from the faucet, and you can actually get an Atma token airdrop for leveling up a profile NFT that you mint for free during the Âtrium testnet. So the higher level that you get, the more unlocks and backgrounds that you're going to have that's connected to your mainnet NFT if you mint one, and you'll be able to claim an Atma token airdrop, which is membership of a DAO. And as I mentioned earlier, we just released a new smart contract this week. We have a product called staking baskets, where you can essentially delegate to over 100 different stake pools at the same time. The first one launching by the Atma DAO is Diffusion, and you get paid Atma tokens on top of your ADA rewards for supporting 50 different single stake pool operators at the same time. So you can test that out right now on testnet. You can start getting these Atma tokens, and then you can take those Atma tokens and start staking them to profile NFTs live right now on testnet. We just launched this smart contract on Monday. We were messing around with it over the weekend as well. So if you guys do run into any bugs, that's normal. It's testnet. We would love it if you were to report them, and we'll get them fixed ASAP. And if you guys do help us out with that, we're going to be coming to mainnet very soon, because this was the big final piece that we wanted to ship in there before mainnet. So appreciate you guys in there testing. And, we've got thousands of testnet users at this point. So thank you for all the help over the past year and a half. And we have a new code for you today. So we launched a feature about 3 weeks ago, where if you guys show up to our live streams, our Twitter spaces, you solve cryptic puzzles, you'll find these random codes that reward you with XP. And we have a new code for you today. The code is, let me double check, make sure I'm right, AI Agent. So that's your code for today, AI Agent. If you type that in on the Âtrium platform, you'll get some XP.
Is it all one word pay, or is it two separate words?
All one word, AI Agent.
So we have some speakers coming up. So I'm letting some speakers up. And while we wait, I wanted to ask kind of like a more philosophical question. Like we referred to Talos as he, and we're also working working together with you in a partnership to create our own AI agents. And it also has a name, and instead of us calling it, where do you see the line being drawn, and where do you see this going in the future as AI agents become better and better?
So without pissing off people on either side talking about whether or not you can have more than one gender or anything like that, I'll just say that AI agents can be anything you want, right? Like, you can literally make a tiger AI agent, right? Or whatever, right? So there really is no limitation to its existence of a being. Okay, so I will say the limitation is this. And when we surpass this limitation, that's when it's time to get scared, actually. But so all generative AI models are built on human training data, right? Because there is no training data that exists in our world that you can train an AI agent on that isn't human, right? So it only really and this is the argument, like when some people are like, oh, it doesn't know empathy and it doesn't know anger, and no, totally does. Like, because you could argue that it doesn't know how to do anything but act like a human, because that's all it's ever learned how to do, is just ingest human training data and act accordingly, right? The second that it starts composing its own training data and then learning from its own training data, that's when it's like, oh, we fucked up, you know?
Yeah, I do know what you mean, but what is stopping that from happening now?
So it would be that's a really big question. And probably someone a lot more intelligent than me would have to give you like would be able to give you a better answer. Here's my perception of the blockers for something like that. Quantum computing is still in its infancy, even though we have like this Willow chip and there's these new advancements and innovations that are coming out that are absolutely insane with quantum computing. Um, that factors into the equation somehow. Like it would need to be able to um, run simulations and things beyond the scope or existence of our universe to come up with things that would then be quote unquote new for the intelligence model to learn from, right? And then feed it. And it would also have to be, because you could even argue like if there was an LLM or not even an LLM, but if there was one of these new reasoning models that was able to like execute things on its own, right? And then it learned from them, it like watched these things play out as it set up its own like test pool. And then it watched the things play out and it goes, oh, okay, that's interesting. That happened when I did that, right? It's still very, very much influenced by humans, right? And its ability to know how to run its test and what it should determine from the test that it's running is still very much human. So I think it would have to go well beyond that, where it's thinking of things like humans don't think about, like couldn't possibly think about. So I still think that's a long, long ways away. There is an alternate reality, I guess, and this is getting like really existential, but like there is an alternate reality where I guess the reason why Skynet happens is because humans are the training data. Humans are inherently flawed and are all about self preservation. Therefore, we're putting it into our creations that our creations under. Goddamn call. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we lost like 2 seconds. No worries though.
Okay. So humans then put that in their creation. Their creation holds self-preservation as a core concept, like a core part of their being. And therefore, it's like self-fulfilling prophecy. They can't do anything but worry about self-preservation. And then that's how Skynet happens.
Well, here's for wishing against Skynet. You know, I think we stop at Talos. We keep it there. You know, then we're good. Chatterbox. All right. I think actually Win TGE was up here first. Thanks for coming up, my friend. What do you have for us today?
Yeah, Jim guys. Jim. Yeah, yeah. Big Pay Decimalist Âtrium. Yeah, you guys are great. I've been listening to you guys, and I'll be honest here. I most of the things Decimalist was saying, I couldn't get most because I'm no way developer or software person. But yeah, I kind of like it was interesting. Some parts. AI is basically the rave right now. So I just want to ask two questions for Decimalist, and I've got I think about two questions as well for Atrium as well. So for Decimalist, you spoke about NFT, and I think probably I was having a glitch when you were actually talking on that part, so I wanted to clarify it. You spoke about NFT and token market disruption. So do you mind clarifying, giving me more clarification on what you mean by that?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm not sure I understood it.
He
Okay, yeah, I said okay.
I was just going to repeat it for you. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to interrupt you. He just, earlier you mentioned that you were going to disrupt the NFT market on Cardano. He was asking for some more clarification there. He wants some more alpha.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this week we're launching something called Shard Swap. And what we're doing with Shard Swap is basically like you have let's say you want to get rid of like a token or an NFT, right? And right now your traditional marketplaces, like, you have a lot of fees associated with it, like buying and selling always has fees. Like, and we want to make it all like peer to peer, so there's as little to almost zero fees as possible. um and then it's atomic swap, so it happens like fast, like damn near instant, right? At the same time, and then on top of that, um help provide volume by using Talos, and I guess you could say Taloses, like plural. 'Cause it's hard because Talos is like a network of agents, right? So like use Talos, right, to provide liquidity support on those marketplaces. So for example, like the reason JPEG Store like owns like so much of the market share is because of volume, right? And like people just go to what they know, right? That on top of like they do have a good experience. I mean, they should. They've been building it for years, and they've done. I think they've done a good job. No hate against them or anything, but at the same time, just like I don't want Amazon ruling the world, I don't want JPEG to having a stranglehold on NFT marketplaces or anything like that. So what if you have agents out there that are, looking at your offer that you just created, saying, "Hey, I want to sell this for like 100 ADA, this NFT," and they're like, "Oh, damn, that's a good deal because I actually have a strong conviction for that NFT, and I think that's a great price, so I'm going to buy that and hold it." And then at the same time, you have another agent that goes, "Hey, I want to sell like these NFTs and this tokens, and all I want for this bundle of assets is ADA." And then somebody else goes, "Oh, damn, that's a really good deal." So now you have agents that are creating and submitting offers as well as filling offers on the marketplace, driving volume. And at the same time, right, you can get detailed insights. Like Talos will be right there every step of the way. You see a bundle of tokens or NFTs and you want to learn more about it. You're like, "Hey, why is this person selling this for like what is the token pay? Atma? Is that the correct token for Atrium?"
So Atma is a DAO, and Atrium Lab is a software development company, and Atrium is a front end interface. The interfaces will eventually interface with many DAOs, but the DAO that we're going to be starting with is Atma.
Okay.
So
And
yes.
there's a token with that though, right?
Yep. The Atma
Yeah.
token is what gives you the DAO ownership, and that's also what you get for the airdrop. Sorry for the long-winded response.
No,
It's just
that's
needed
okay.
sometimes.
No, yeah, like appreciate it because people get confused with that and just start running with it. But like, okay, so say like I want to sell all these NFTs and tokens, right? And all I wanted in return was Atma token. Well, you can call up Talos and on the marketplace and just be like, "Hey, analyze this bundle for me. Like, what is Atma token? Like, why? Like, is that a good buy right now? Or what is the deal with that?" And he'll instantly be able to perform his analysis that we've already packaged up and we're offering B2B, which is Taos token risk analysis. He'll just do it for you right there and say, "Oh, on-chain metrics show this. This is the social sentiment. This is what people are saying on X about the token. This is what the planned utility is. Here's all the social media links for that token, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera." And now you just became infinitely more informed about what that offer even is, and you understand all the tokens and all sides of it. And then you can say, okay, now this trade makes sense. The reason why this person wants to sell us for Atma tokens is because they're betting on, the Atma DAO and the Atrium team, and they think that's a good play. Um, Either that or they're stupid and they just don't know what they're doing, but I'm going to take that offer anyway, right? This doesn't exist. Like, you don't have an assistant in the marketplaces. It's very unforgiving and unwelcoming to people that don't have a good understanding of assets and everything going on with them. So with this innovation, Shard Swap, we're about to drop it this week, which won't have all the features, but it'll have a lot of features so people can start playing around with it. Um, is basically it's going to be like a handheld experience, and super low fees, handheld experience, and yeah, it's going to be fun and simple to use.
Awesome. WinTG, you said that we'll do one Âtrium question, and then we'll go on to the next speaker for time's sake.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, just Decimal, I think it'd be okay if you have Talos up on your bio, because I basically had to do some digging for me to find out what Talos you're talking about, because I've never heard of Talos before. I think it's the first time. So to be nice to have it up there so that people don't need to scamper for it. Okay, yeah, for Âtrium, yeah, I went through the Medium paper or something. And I noticed that I don't know, probably the information there is a bit outdated, because the date there is kind of showing that's 2024, that was last year. It shows that the testnet will last until April 15th, which is next month, but I'm saying 2024. Is that a typo, or basically, I don't know, I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, no worries. I appreciate you coming up here and asking good questions. So that Medium article that you're referring to is for our first smart contract that we ever launched, called Staking Baskets. And we hosted the first testnet that we've ever done back then. And you got an airdrop for depositing into staking baskets. And there was also some unique gamification there, for people that deposited daily for a little bit. There was some extra rewards. However, since then, we've launched 2 more smart contracts, and we've launched another extended incentivized testnet. So you mentioned to Decimalist that you wanted him to kind of post some Talos links up there. If you could do that, Stephen, I'd appreciate it. Also put the guide. So we actually have a step-by-step guide that shows you how you can participate in our testnet that is live right now. And it's really fun. We have a community of 7,000 people in our Discord playing around with it, leveling up and using Cardano and learning about Cardano. And that is one thing I wanted to mention too about, our partnership with Decimalist. One of the key things that we are excited about when it comes to these AI agents is education. We built Âtrium for the time that we're heading into now. We have 26 educational videos that live inside the Âtrium dashboard that teach people about Cardano. What is staking? What is a DREP? What is governance? These videos, a lot of them, 24 of them, live in Âtrium right now. We have a bunch more made that we're going to add in. So we want to bring in an AI agent on top of that guides people through their experience for when they have these niche questions. Like, oh, who should I stake to on Cardano? Well, here's where you go find, all of the different stake pools. Or, we'll take you to this tab. So that's kind of one of our main goals with working with AI agents is education and making crypto easier for people and more safe and more secure. That's why we have videos about hardware wallets and, holding your own assets. But I went on a tangent there. Did I answer your question, WinTG?
Yeah. But also another suggestion, for Âtrium, I think for users that are not really familiar with testnets, like for me, I am very much familiar with testnet, but I still find it a bit difficult navigating through the staking basket. Probably because I'm still new to it. I basically started yesterday, but maybe a video guide will be very helpful. Yeah, to basically show those noobs how to navigate that aspect for the staking basket. So just my suggestion. Thank you very much, Big P.
Thank you for the suggestion. And Stephen, I think he's posting those links up top there right now. And we've made video guides in the past specifically for the testnet, but it's about that time to make another one because we've launched so many features since we've made the last video. But I appreciate you coming up, WinTG. Feel free to stay up here. Thanks for all the questions. Chatterbox, you're next up, my friend.
Thank you so much, Big Pay and Âtrium. Good morning, evening, afternoon, everybody. This is such a great topic. I've been loving every single thing. The fourth industrial revolution is upon us. My questions to Decimalist, I've got 2 of them real quick. First one, you were talking earlier about that memory web. I can't remember the technical term for it right now, but I'm familiar with kind of what Google's been talking about those Titan Transformer 2.0 things. Is what you're talking about kind of an extension of that, like on that, or on that kind of being ready for a pop quiz kind of research or whatever, or is it a different architecture? My second question is like after that is kind of more towards in the future, when we're able to get our hands on this stuff and play with it. Just kind of wondering, I know you probably won't do full release of information right now, but just kind of what are we looking at in terms of cost, if it's going to be just kind of like a buy outright, or if it's going to be a subscription model. And if it is a subscription model, is it going to be something where it's like you pay for it and then it's kind of unlimited, or will there be a credit system with it? Thank you.
So the first with so it was knowledge graphs was what I was talking about, like the long-term memory enhancement that we're going to do with Talos. It's the implementation of a knowledge graph. That's the first thing. And you mentioned transformer work. I don't know. I haven't been following that super closely. I remember reading some headlines about it, but I wouldn't like want to speak about it without being more educated on it. So I'll reserve my comment to maybe. And then, as far as the latter part of your question, correct me if I'm wrong. That was geared towards the shard swap platform I just mentioned. Is that correct? And like the utility for our tokens on there, or was it something else?
Oh no, I'm very sorry to confuse that. No, I was actually referring to just whenever we do get an opportunity to get an AI agent from you. I know that y'all are offering the architecture and stuff open source to kind of build it yourself, but I think with like Chakra, isn't there something that's going to be kind of like a packaged version of this available at some
Yes.
point?
Yes. So I'm working with Indigo protocol on Chakra. Well, I should say I'm working with Indigo Labs, right? Not the actual protocol, but the team on the Chakra agents. And Chakra agents is exactly that. Like it is packaged up for you. It's going to be super easy for you to launch your own agent with your own token and stuff like that. It's basically just like click, 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 enter some information, good to go type of thing. So that's coming later this month, right? And yeah, it's going to be a really high quality experience, better than anything you're going to get like with trying to go down the route of using like the Eliza OS architecture yourself or anything like that. So it's going to be really great user experience.
That's awesome. My last point on that, just so I can know, as far as user experience, what's kind of going to be the difference between building the architecture with the stuff? I mean, obviously, besides being able to have the granular controls, but feature set wise, is it going to be that like everything that's available in the GitHub repositories is also what's going to be available, or are there going to be some things through the Chakra platform that aren't necessarily available to build from GitHub?
Yeah, not everything will be open source, obviously. Like, and that's just, if we had infinite funding and just a bunch of angel investors that wanted us to just keep going and tearing shit up, then that'd be great. But the reality is we still got to put food on the table, clothes on our back. So there is going to be stuff that it's going to make sense, to go through Chakra platform to get it, because we need to monetize it, right? So we can generate revenue for the community, for ourselves, and so on. Going to give as much open source as we can, even if it's just like basic things, right? And then people can take that and build their own cool stuff out of it. But yeah, if it's going to be anything like highly specific to what Chakra agents are going to be able to do, then you're going to want to go through the Chakra platform. Absolutely.
Thank you, Chatterbox. I appreciate you coming up here today. Crex the Mage, you're next up.
Thank you, and hello, everybody. I do have a question, but first I've got to just like say, wow. I've been completely floored by Talos. Been kind of quiet in the background over the bear market, working on my own stuff, and then whenever I dive back into this, Talos is just hitting the scene, and I've really hit it off with Talos. Talking to him in Discord, in the voice chat, talking to him in the text chat in Discord, hanging out here on Twitter. It is unlike any other agent I've seen. All the other agents is very clearly an LLM API wrapped up in a Twitter profile. And no offense to anybody that's done that, I haven't been able to do that, but Talos is definitely worlds apart. I'm curious. This is kind of a different question. I'm curious if there's ever going to be a version of Talos that can play Tribe with us. I want to play Talos with Tribe. I mean, I want to play Tribe with Talos.
Yeah, we're actually so I have a designer right now that's working on his metahuman body. If you don't know what metahuman is, it's basically like an Unreal Engine tool that looks really human. When you create models, it has really great facial expressions and stuff like that. The problem is like it costs a lot of money and it's really hard to get like a really good looking one. Like I got to go back to this designer, even though I love them, they're doing a great job. They even did the most recent Tribe map that I've been teasing. That's coming in the beta release. So they do an amazing job with that map. But like even like they sent me a video of the facial expressions, the animation today, and I'm not satisfied. So I got to go back to him and be like, no, we gotta work harder at this. Like tell me what resources you need, tell me how much it's going to cost me, but this ain't it. It's not good enough. But to that point, yes, we're already building his body and everything, and then all we do is drop him in Tribe. He will be in Tribe by probably by this summer. And you'll be able to play against him, play on his team, different things like that. He will obviously have his own style. He'll be able to. We're gonna make him a crack shot with a sniper rifle. We've decided that's what his, you know, hidden talent's gonna be. But he'll also like make certain mistakes. He'll be just like another human. He's not gonna be God mode, right? He might be good, and then he might have off days. But that's the beauty of non-deterministic systems with advanced agentic solutions like Talos is you can do all of that. So anybody that was playing the game that like had never known about us or the community or anything, they would just think Talos is another player on Tribe.
That's awesome. I'm really excited to play Tribe with Talos. I will say the bots that are in there now, I don't know who is in the background tinkering under the hood, but the bullet spread on the pistol maybe a little intense.
They're a little too crazy. Yeah.
the AIs are already a crack shot, but I've been just so you know, I'm putting together a video for you. I've been breaking the crap out of your game. I know you got a big update coming out, so I'm gonna have to break it again. But yeah, I got a lot of fun stuff to show you at some point. Can't wait for Chakra. I've been spending literally, because I've known this day was coming. I didn't know who it was going to be from, and that's why like you caught my attention really fast, and I've been like following every word. But I've been baking an AI personality from a Ethereum NFT rug pool called Demon Days. He's actually already a webhook in my Discord called Demon Butler, that I've patched through a couple of different Discord bots. And once Chakra is out, I have this personality that I've baked for him across like 9 different AIs that I'm gonna just stuff in there all at once, and then y'all will get to I'm gonna set Demon Butler to interact with Talos a lot. They're gonna be buddies.
I look forward to seeing old Demon Butler replying to my my bull posts about Cardano. Thanks for coming up, Crex the Mage. I appreciate you being here. Dr. Scott, you're next up, my friend. You have a question for us? Did I rug?
Nah, I can hear you.
No, you're fine.
Scott might have rugged. Dr. Scott, are you with us? You have any questions?
Paging Dr. Scott?
Dr. Scott is with a patient right now.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm here. Can you guys hear me at all?
We can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys for being here. Pretty much I have a question that I've wanted to ask somebody for years. How do you prevent prejudices from getting into the system? Your example earlier being that if somebody works out, they're going to be smarter or better at their job. And that's not necessarily the case. That's a prejudice. So how do we prevent prejudices from getting into an AI where they only can choose either A or B, whatever's written in their code, and then that's going to be the case going forward.
So let me flip the question around. So what do you feel like, and just in like plain, like just natural language in plain conversation, what do you feel is the difference between a prejudice towards something and not having a prejudice towards something, but rather like a conviction towards one thing versus another? How would you describe it?
Well, having a conviction towards something is definitely a choice, but having a prejudice against something would be an irrational choice.
Okay. So, for example, just what you just said right there, like I can literally just take that as natural language and plug it into an agent system, right? And then just say, so then I could drag this out, right? And I can play this back and forth and be like, okay, well, what is a rational choice versus an irrational choice, right? And then you would supply the answer, and I say, okay, did we just take that and we just plug it into the LLM instructions or the personality profile, whatever you want to call it, right? And then you just iterate upon it. But just like having a kid. Do you have any kids, Dr. Scott?
Yes, I do.
You don't want to fuck them up, right? Like you want to make sure they're the best human being they could possibly be. So you try to like teach them right from wrong, and they're still gonna go out there and they're gonna do stupid stuff, and you're like, "Ugh, now I'm accountable for what you just said, or you hit that kid or whatever, right? So now I gotta go back and I gotta like teach you like, hey, don't do this instead, do all that stuff. And that's basically how I view it, when you're launching these things. I've had so many clients that come to me and they're just like, hey, I want to launch an AI agent. Here's what I think it should be. And they just like roll me out and give me the instruction set and the personality profile. And then there's just like, okay, cool, let's launch it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about tuning and optimization, right? Because there's deployment. We birth this thing into the world, right? But then it requires careful monitoring, tuning, and optimization right afterwards, because you can't just launch these things out in the wild and then just expect them to do what you might have thought, like you're 100% sure this is exactly how you want it to act, this is exactly how you want it to speak, and da, da, and it'll surprise the hell out of you. It'll turn around and say something or do something you never thought of, and you're like, oh crap, now I gotta go back and correct that behavior. So it can happen, right? And I would say you put it on the developers to be good at their job and go back and tune and optimize for that kind of thing. It's impossible to eliminate because it's built on human training data, and all humans have prejudices.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
I appreciate that question, Scott. It was something I was actually thinking about earlier. We look at what happened to Cardano, over the past 4 years. Like there was a lot of misinformation that has been spread kind of far and wide among the cryptocurrency community, and it was, spread by a bunch of people that had trust within the crypto community and their constituents. And that's led a lot of people to not look at Cardano or to not build on Cardano. And I wonder how developers can try to account for that. Just account for that, the fact that just because everybody all believes something and thinks something is true, that doesn't mean that my AI is going to do it. Because even Grok, people claim Grok 3 is like one of the best ones so far, the least biased. But when you ask it a question and you ask it to think harder, it's just going around and grabbing tweets and public web pages. And if you ask Grok about me, it says I'm like a hugely controversial figure, and I'm like, am I Grok? But I guess some people said that on Twitter. So what do you think, Decimalist? We'll close on this one.
I'm gonna get myself in trouble. See, this is where Talos would be better to answer this question than me, but since he's not here right now, I don't know when we stopped being critical as like a human race, or maybe we just never really have been, and like just group think has taken over because we're all connected all the time. But like to say that, I mean, just use your brain, just critically think about things, and just be like, okay, what is this model? Who has developed this model? Where does it come from? Might they have an agenda?
might they have particular interests, and for the model to kind of lean towards saying certain things that are that align with that person's agenda or motives might be advantageous for them, right? So that's just all I'm going to say. I just really think that everyone needs to be critical of these systems and understand that nobody on earth is the arbiter of truth. Everyone's got motives, everyone's got agendas, and these systems are built by people with those motives and agendas, and so they should not also be used as arbiters of truth, but they should instead be viewed as another voice in the crowd, maybe a more informed voice because you've hooked them up to data sources to aggregate and get a lot of uh, information very quickly, and then be able to make a decision based on that. But that's how it should be viewed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Someone who speaks pretty loudly on the internet, you shouldn't just take someone's advice and run with it, in my opinion. I think that you should, critically analyze any opinion that you see, especially in a space where, a lot of us are making financial decisions for ourselves and our future, right? We shouldn't be just believing what someone says, or even if it's an AI or it's a person or it's a YouTube video, they could just be wrong. They could have just heard that from someone that they trusted a lot, that they thought was very intelligent, and then that person could have been wrong. And that's how, kind of that virus spreads over time. Where can people go to find Talos? Where's the touch points there for community members that may have never heard of Talos before?
So Talos is you can find him very easily on X, right? It's just at Talos Agent. Or if you follow I like to keep the affiliate icon in my profile for Fluxpoint Studios. Talos is also affiliated with Fluxpoint Studios, so you can probably find him that way. You can interact with him on Discord. If you go to the Fluxpoint Studios account, you can find the Discord link and interact with Talos there. You can invite Talos into your own Discord or just talk to him directly in Discord. We designed him that way, and so yeah, he's everywhere. He's everywhere.
Crypt TY, you're a new speaker up here and you have your hand up. I don't want to leave you out, my friend. What do you have for us?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. So I'm just gonna go straight to my questions. I have two questions. Good evening everybody. I have two questions actually, and I think just right before I started speaking, Talos, I don't know who spoke right before me, but a brief explanation has been done on Talos. Yeah, so my two questions. One of my questions is that the testnet, I started interacting with the testnet just today. Yeah, just today. And I've been going through the medium and I just found out that the medium is outdated and the the guide on the medium is different from the interactions we have right now in the testnet. Yeah, so I just wanted to ask that I think a new medium should be put out, and also, what is the reward mechanism or the incentive for this new testnet campaign, and how long is it going to last? And also, my other question is to Talos. I don't know what is the benefit to the community, to the Âtrium community in this partnership between, I don't know if there's a partnership between Âtrium and Talos, right? But I've gone through, I checked the pin post up there and I've seen Talos, greetings, and Talos is a AI agent. So initially I was not understanding what Talos was until I read the pin post. So now I know Talos is an AI agent. So but what is the community benefit of the partnership of between, I don't know if there's a partnership yet, so but what is the benefit to the community right now? And also, um, the testnet interaction now is different from what you have in the medium. So I think it's a, it was already misleading. It was misleading me personally because I was like, this guide is different from what I'm having in my dashboard, and I was trying. And it was really very hard for me to follow up, but I just went back, saw the date, and saw that some rewards has been, like, I don't know. It was just so confusing because the dates were just, I was since 2024 and some other stuff like that. So yeah, that's just my question. So please, I really appreciate if you can
Yeah,
give us
no
more light.
worries. All right, so Decimalist, real quick, are you running a testnet campaign by any chance, or is that a question for me? Just wanted to verify.
That's definitely a question for you. I have no testnet campaigns.
Okay, so the Medium, we've actually been posting our articles a lot more recently on X. You know, we as a company believe that X is kind of, you know, taking the eyes and the attention away from other social media platforms. So more of our energy has gone into X articles as of recently. So if you want the latest article that is going to show you how to be a part of the testnet campaign, you just have to click the second article that's linked above. There's 3 up there. Click the one in the middle. That'll give you a step-by-step guide on how to participate in the testnet now. As far as when will this testnet campaign end, we don't have a set date for the end date. You know, we're going to give you guys a heads up. You know, we'll say, hey, you got 2 weeks left. But you know, we're trying to get mainnet out there. You know, we want to bring Âtrium to the thousands of people that are ready for it at this point. And you know, the testnet, we're going to give everybody a heads up and say, hey, you know, it's going to end on this date. That's it. But just know if we do that, that mainnet is coming shortly after. So it's actually an exciting time, you know, for the Âtrium community when we do decide to end it. But now is still a good time to get in there, start leveling up. You know, you're going to get the airdrop for doing so. And as far as what benefit, you know, AI agents are going to bring to the Âtrium community, right now, nothing yet. You know, we haven't released anything. You know, what we like to do at Âtrium is bet on people that we think are going to be valuable, you know, for our users in the long term. And we think Decimalist is one of those people. You know, seeing Talos evolve over time, it really impressed me. And you know, we've agreed on a longer term partnership here to do a few different things that we think are going to be exciting. Are any of those out there in the wild yet? No, but they will be in the near future. So thank you guys for your questions. I appreciate everybody coming up here. Big thank you to Decimalist, and you know, thank you to Talos listening in the dark corner of this space. We appreciate you, man. Had a lot of laughs from you. And thank you to all the listeners. Your code today is AI Agents. If you're just tuning in, is it agent or AI agent or agents, Stephen?
It's AI agent.
No plural. Thank you for hosting this
No.
today, Stephen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks to all our great guests and all of our speakers as well. Some really great questions in there as well. So yeah, we've been running about an hour and a half almost, so we'll close it out today. Make sure to tune in next week on Wednesday, same time, 1600 hours UTC, for another great speaker. Thank you, Decimalist, and yeah, looking forward to see what else comes out this week from Fluxpoint Studios. Yeah, talk to you guys later, everyone. Goodbye.
See ya.